wife cheated on me and had the nerve to say it was a mistake, but my lawyer destroyed my unfaithful wife. Finding out your wife is cheating on you is one of the worst pains anyone can experience. Now imagine discovering undeniable proof that your wife had been cheating on you not only throughout your entire relationship but also after marriage, and to make matters worse, she was wearing the necklace you gave her while with another man. He found those photos, and many more, on her old laptop. But that was just the beginning. After the discovery, he moved out, went to stay at his brother's apartment, and filed for divorce. She begged for forgiveness, but he stood his ground, even hiring a ruthless lawyer to make sure justice was served. Want to know how this story of betrayal, legal battles, and ice-cold emotions ends? Stick around and find out every shocking detail. I found out that while we were dating, my wife, then girlfriend, was cheating on me with her ex. And now, I feel absolutely nothing for her, and that scares me. Here are the main details. My wife Wendy, 32F, and I, 34M, met through friends 7 years ago. We dated for 2 years and have been married for 5, right after I graduated from law school. I worked hard as an associate at my firm, putting in 60-hour weeks during the first 2 years of our marriage. That hard work paid off, and I'm doing well professionally. Wendy used to work as a private school teacher, but after we got married, she quit to go back to school and pursue a master's degree in education. She's now in a PhD program while working part-time. It was financially tight at times because I wanted to pay off my student loans quickly, but we made it work. Wendy had an old laptop she used when we first started dating. I found it in a box in the closet. She'd told me it was broken and wouldn't turn on. I plugged it in, tried to power it up, nothing. Back when we met, Wendy used to take photos of everything, especially selfies with other people. I thought she might have some of our early pictures on there, so I removed the hard drive and checked it. It seemed to work fine, so the issue had to be with the laptop itself. Wanting to surprise her with old photos of when we started dating, I waited until she left to visit her sister. Then I connected the hard drive to my PC using a SATA cable. Sure enough, there were photos, lots of them. Some were of us, smiling and laughing on dates. They brought back good memories. But then there were others. Photos of her with different people. One person stood out, a guy named Bob, who I knew was her ex before me. There were tons of photos of her and Bob. I just wanted to grab the pictures of us, so I sorted them by date, thinking the newer ones would just be ours. But to my surprise, many photos of her and Bob were mixed in with ours, same dates, same time period. I started going through them one by one and noticed something in particular. In some of the pictures where she's hugging and kissing Bob, she's wearing the necklace I gave her for her birthday in our 2nd year of dating. I had to borrow money from my brother to buy it. I checked the timestamps on the photos and a pattern emerged. On the weekends I was buried in schoolwork, or when she said she was going to her mom's or her sister's to give me space, she was actually meeting up with Bob behind my back. I was furious. It felt like fire ants were eating through my brain, my heart, and my gut. I wanted to punch walls. But then something in me snapped. I went completely cold. I started thinking in an eerily calm and calculated way. I copied every single photo, not just the ones I'd seen, onto a flash drive. Then I packed a bag, took some suits, grabbed the flash drive, and went to stay at my brother's place across town. I left the hard drive connected to my PC, with one of the pictures of her kissing Bob displayed on the screen. The only note I left was a post-it with an arrow pointing to the necklace in the photo, the one I gave her. Wendy tried calling me from her mom's, assuming that's where she really was, but I didn't answer. A few hours later, presumably after she got back to our apartment and saw the image on the screen, she blew up my phone with voicemails and texts. I ignored them all. I've already met with another associate from my firm who works in family law to start the divorce process. We have no kids and no real property. Most of our money went to my loan payments and her tuition. My firm rallied around me, and all her calls go straight to voicemail. She's also been banned from the property. Security already turned her away once. Wendy tracked me down at my brother's place, but he told her over the phone that if she tried to come by, he'd unleash his dogs on her. He said she was sobbing and screaming on the call, begging to talk to me. But it didn't make me feel sad or angry, it made me feel nothing. Absolutely nothing. My marriage was over, and I had accepted that. It's been 2 days now. I still feel nothing. No pain. No sadness. No rage. Just emptiness. How is it possible that I have no feelings left for her? No desire to see her, no urge to reconcile? Now that I'm alone with my thoughts, this numbness scares me. Will it last? Am I still in shock? Am I permanently broken? The only upside? I've never seen legal cases with such clarity in my life. First update. First off, I want to thank everyone for the responses I've received. I'm genuinely blown away by all the positive support, and I really appreciate those who shared their own experiences with this feeling of numbness. It helps to know that my reaction is normal. That said, I do plan on seeking individual counseling soon. The associate at my firm handling my case, let's call her Emma, went through the rest of the flash drive and found several more photos of Wendy hugging and kissing Bob, with the engagement ring I gave her clearly visible in many of them. When she told me this, I didn't feel pain or anger. I felt euphoria. I smiled strangely and asked Emma why such terrible news made me feel good. She told me it's because the evidence validates every decision I've made since I walked out. I've had zero direct contact with Wendy. All communication has gone through Emma except for her family and friends, who mistakenly believe my brother and his wife will be sympathetic listeners. Spoiler, they're not. Emma has already drafted a separation agreement and scheduled a meeting with Wendy for Thursday afternoon. She made it clear to Wendy that if she doesn't have legal representation, I won't be attending. A word about Emma, I won't post her office nickname, but let's just say if you're thinking Viper, you're on the right track. I'm glad she's on my side. We'll be filing for divorce soon. Emma believes any spousal support will be minimal and short-term. She says I'll likely have to cover Wendy's rent for the next 5 months until the separation is finalized and she completes her last doctoral courses. Our only significant asset is the joint savings account we've been building for a down payment on a house. Thankfully, it's a dual signature account with no ATM access. Shout out to the long-forgotten bank employee who suggested that extra fraud protection. My sister-in-law went to our apartment while Wendy was supposed to be at her part-time job to pick up more of my clothes and personal items. She ended up listening to Wendy for several hours. To the Redditor who said Wendy would lie about pretty much everything, you nailed it. The entire time my sister-in-law was packing, Wendy was spinning easily disprovable lies, one after the other. Getting nowhere, Wendy finally asked her, "Don't you have someone from your past that just pops into your head, and you can't say no to them?" So I guess that's her excuse for cheating. Bob is a Jedi and Wendy is mentally weak. By the way, my sister-in-law answered, "Yes, I married him." Spending time with my brother's family has helped me avoid feeling isolated. My nephews are absolutely demolishing me in video games, and I'm loving every second of it. Work is going really well, and the partner who oversees my department stopped by to say he's proud of how I haven't let this personal issue affect my professional performance. That's all for now. Thank you again to everyone who responded with supportive messages. I can't explain how much it helps to know I'm not the only one going through something like this or feeling this emotional numbness toward my soon-to-be ex-wife. Second update. Wendy has found a lawyer, let's call him Todd. Emma and I met with them on neutral ground at another law office. We all had to wear masks due to COVID, which made it feel like we were planning to rob the place or something. It was the first time I had seen Wendy since she left to go stay with her sister/mom. Wendy looked like a mess. Red eyes, dark circles, smeared makeup from crying, and her neck was covered in hives. I looked at her and felt nothing. More on that in a moment. The second she saw me, Wendy started saying she regretted everything, that she loved me, that she couldn't live without me, that this was all a mistake, the usual emotional garbage you'd expect in a situation like this. She tried to hug me, but Emma stepped between us and told Todd to remind Wendy that she was not to speak directly to me or Emma, that she should speak to Todd, who would speak to Emma, who would speak to me. Got that? Emma had already told me not to say anything and to keep a neutral expression. I thought that might be hard. I was worried my old anger would return, but it didn't. I was still numb, almost detached, like I was watching the whole thing from outside my own body. Todd asked if reconciliation was on the table. Emma made it clear we were there only to review the separation agreement, nothing more. Wendy yelled that we'd been married for 5 years and I shouldn't throw it all away over one mistake. Emma reminded Todd that Wendy was not supposed to speak directly to me. Todd whispered something to her, and she managed to regain her composure briefly. Emma and Todd began discussing the separation agreement Emma had previously emailed. Todd said he received it but didn't think it was fair to Wendy. He tried poking holes in it, probably just to show Wendy he was earning his fee, but Emma shut down every argument until he admitted the terms were as fair as the law required. Wendy blurted out that none of this is fair because this is all just one big mistake. Emma then laid out black and white printouts of all the photos from the flash drive showing Wendy kissing and hugging Bob, her engagement ring clearly visible in each one. Emma had circled the ring in every photo with a thick, dark red marker, alpha move, by the way, and with each one she asked Todd, "Does your client think this was a mistake? And this? What about this one?" Wendy collapsed into her chair, sobbing hard. It was a sad scene, but I didn't feel sorry for her at all. Emma and Todd moved on to timelines, for signing and submitting the agreement, and other future details. I think my silent indifference finally got to Wendy, because unprompted she yelled that she never cheated during the marriage. Emma didn't miss a beat. She turned to Todd and said, "Tell your client to hand over her phone. If she didn't cheat during the marriage, she won't mind my IT guy copying everything from it and downloading anything stored in the cloud. I can have him here in 10 minutes. Wendy clutched her phone with both hands and refused to give it up. Todd whispered something to her. I'm pretty sure he told her she had just admitted to cheating. More sobbing. I smiled under my mask but said nothing. At that point, I actually felt bad for Todd, call it professional empathy. I'd been in his position before. When you know your case is hopeless, your client is a disaster, the other attorney is 1982 to 1986 Wayne Gretzky, and you're just a high school backup goalie with a slow glove hand. All you want is for the beating to be over. When the meeting ended, I walked out without saying a single word to Wendy. What would be the point? Every word out of her mouth is a lie. Emma received the signed separation agreement yesterday afternoon. I thought I'd be stuck paying the rent until June, mainly to protect my credit, but instead, we agreed to split the house down payment savings 50-50. That was the incentive for Wendy to sign so quickly. From now on, Wendy will be solely responsible for rent, utilities, and everything else. Between living expenses and her education costs, she'll have just enough left over to relocate. Apparently, she thinks this was a win for her, but in reality, it was a tactical move. It wipes out the only significant asset we had and makes the divorce process far simpler. Here's the best part, turns out that during our 5th year of marriage, we actually weren't married for a full 5 years. It was 4 years and 7 months on paper. In our state, if the marriage lasted less than 5 full years, the family court typically seeks an annulment-style resolution, a concept borrowed from contract law. That means the court tries to return both parties to their financial positions prior to the marriage. Right before we got married, I was a broke, unemployed law grad waiting on bar results, drowning in student debt. Wendy, on the other hand, was a fully employed, full-time teacher with a bachelor's degree, a graduate degree, a pile of savings, and was well on her way to a PhD. No real assets, no kids. There's no way Wendy can argue that a clean financial break isn't appropriate here. In short, no alimony. Emma told Todd that if Wendy tries to contest the divorce, the first witness she'll subpoena is Bob. Todd replied that Wendy has agreed not to contest the divorce. If all goes well, in 3 months I'll be leaving this painful chapter of my life behind. I still don't feel anything for Wendy, but that no longer scares me. The Redditor who said it's because the Wendy I dated and married never really existed was absolutely right. Sir, you are a wise one. The Wendy I fell for, the one I married, was just an illusion. The person who cheated on me and lied to me is a complete stranger. Our entire relationship was a lie, an elaborate plan B fantasy designed to benefit her at my expense. I think my mindset also comes from my first real job between college and law school, when I worked in commission-based sales. There was a phrase we heard over and over. You have to get through a lot of no's to get to a yes, so don't worry about the rejections. Don't waste your time or energy on them. The faster you move past them, the quicker you'll find your yes. Wendy was a no, and I've already wasted far too much time and energy on her. No more. Friends, family, and co-workers have noticed that my smile is back, and honestly, I feel better than I have in years. Still, just to be safe, I've scheduled a few phone and video therapy sessions. Let's see how that goes. This will probably be my final update. Thanks again to everyone for your support and wisdom. If I could give back even a fraction of the great advice I've received here, it would be this. If your spouse cheats on you, talk to a lawyer immediately and then do what your lawyer tells you to do. Relevant comments. A similar thing happened to me. I was married for a few years when I was really young. One day I came home early from a trip, logged onto our shared desktop, and he had forgotten to sign out of his AOL account. Right there in front of me were messages with another woman detailing the time they had spent together, not just that week, but going back months. Something just switched off in me. I left that day and never looked back. At first, I thought it was shock and that the heartbreak would eventually hit, but it never did. I knew that even though I wasn't perfect, I had done my best and there was no excuse for what he did. I was completely done. I never wanted to see him again. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's total indifference. You might feel differently, but if you're simply tired, that's okay too. Sometimes that's just how it works out. I'm really sorry this happened to you. I'm glad you have good people around you. Stay strong and move forward. I'm really sorry this happened to you, man. At least you found out before there were any kids involved. Not gonna lie, I would have done the exact same thing, walk away and never look back. But I think eventually she'll try to come back with some sob story. I was lost, I realized I only ever loved you, that kind of thing. Anyone who can hurt you that deeply doesn't deserve another second of your life. And as for not feeling anything, that's just the shock. It's your brain protecting you because the person you loved never actually existed. Unfortunately, that numbness fades and the pain will eventually come back. So surround yourself with people who care about you, and push forward. You'll find someone worthy of the love you gave. I agree. If people want to leave their partners for someone else, then as painful as it is to be left behind, maybe it's not the worst thing. I'd rather they just said, hey, this was fun, but I think it's time to move on, instead of sneaking around and destroying trust and intimacy behind my back. Cheating just for the thrill of it, which already sounds stupid, is incredibly degrading to your partner. It makes them feel like they were just a pawn, used and discarded. That emotional betrayal feels almost like slavery of the heart. Anyway, I'm rambling. Bottom line. Cheating is selfish to the core. And judging by the existence of this subreddit, I'm glad so many people now realize how serious of a mental health issue it really is.
Reddit Relics comment. This story is a powerful reminder of how fragile trust can be, and how betrayal can completely shatter something that once felt solid. The way the protagonist handled the pain, with logic and dignity, is something we can all respect. You don't always need to yell or seek revenge to show strength. Sometimes, walking away in silence is the greatest act of courage. In the end, those who choose to betray and act selfishly reveal more about themselves than the person they hurt. If you're going through something similar, I hope you find the strength to put yourself first and start again. And remember, life always moves on, and with time, it usually gets better. Thanks for watching until the end. I hope this story resonated with you in some way. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Share this story with friends or family, you never know who might need to hear something like this. And of course, drop your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. I love reading each and every one of them. See you in the next one.